All right. Hey, everyone. Good to see everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. JL here and doing a kind of an impromptu live stream. So I appreciate everybody popping out. Thank you so much. Let's see who's in the chat real quick. We got DL Wood. Good to see you. Arisen 1157. Good to see you. Thank you so much. Ivy Gentry. Facty. Poneser33. Angel Gamer. Clive Wells. Thank you so much for the ghosty. Just Call Me Abby. Yeah, WoW hasn't died. I still play it religiously since launch. Same character. I don't have any alts. So wrote it no last name. Gabba back to you. Logical Hillbilly, good to see you. And JF, and just JF, JM Claff, and Hollow Horn. Good to see everybody. Fantastic. So, and hey, Mr. Malort, good to see you. And Boomer, good to see you too. So, the reason for this stream, and I'm going to be kind of quick because I want to dive into it, and because it was something that sat with me. So I am a huge fan of Tom Rabbit. I've been watching his content for years, and I love what he does. It always makes me laugh. I always get a kick out of it, especially his editing is fantastic. He does incredible work. And yes, his platform is Darth centric, but Darth is it has been an endless source of entertainment for a long, long time. And especially hearing Tom engage in these debates with Darth himself has always, made it worth it. And I enjoy being a part of that community, and I love what he does. I think he provides an invaluable service to people who are wanting to get into these kinds of discussions. Now, the reason I'm having this one is because Tom released a video that was Darth talking to, Darth had Jay Robin, one of his little sycophants, call into the Skeptic Generation show with Eric Murphy and Vila Bianca. And so he had them call in. He was calling in, doing the whole typical troll thing. But watching the video, what I was expecting was the typical, troll BS, blah 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 blah. But after watching it, and I had a kind of a visceral reaction that I had not had to any of his stuff beforehand, to any of Tom Rabbit's videos. And this does not fall on Tom Rabbit. Tom Rabbit is just doing the content that he does, the amazing content that he continues to do. But this particular, it was what was going on in the content. So I began to ask myself, I found myself faced with kind of the ethical consideration. Platforming this individual. And there is good that it does. There is a utility to it. But then I'm sitting here, I'm looking, I was like, was this really like watching an insane person sitting behind the glass and we're all just laughing at them rolling in their own shit? And there was something hit me on kind of like an ethical perspective, very similar to watching the interview on I think it was on ABC, that the interview that was done with Shelley Duvall, with actress Shelley Duvall, who is suffering from severe mental issues, severe mental distress, and she wasn't medicated. She didn't look great, and they just made her. I mean, the interview was just gross and was just negligent, in my opinion. And so, and I realized, why they did this. Is the fault on ABC? Is the fault on Shelley Duvall's handlers? Did she have handlers? So it brings up a bunch of questions about this. And so I was curious about this. I wanted to kind of dive into it. And who better than to dive into this than the guy who actually does this stuff? So welcome to, the first time on my channel, Tom Rabbit.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, hear you just fine. Thank you.
What's up, people?
So I gotta say, like I said, I gotta sing your praises. I love your channel, and I followed your channel. Like I'm there. You see me commenting. I know you do.
Oh yeah.
And I like time stamping areas in your videos, so people can just jump right to the silly and the crazy. So first and foremost, I mean, obviously Darth has resulted in the biggest views on your channel, which is why it kind of pigeonholed towards Darth, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that's fair to say.
Okay. I mean, I can see it happening. He obviously, his dumpster fire draws a lot of flies, so why not go where the flies are? But it was something about this one. While I've enjoyed all of them, his bad argumentation, exposing him for what he does, there was something about this one that really I don't know. I'm saying it bothered me. It really, really bothered me. And I'm kind of curious as to what your stance was. Did this one stand out to you as different than the other ones? Was there something about it, or was this just another run of the mill what you were expecting from Darth?
It's pretty standard for Darth. No surprises there. In hindsight, though, when you look at the video, he turned what is actually just simply a 4-minute clip into over 30 minutes of whining and bitching and spinning a narrative and essentially gaslighting.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Darth is one of the hugest narcissists on the internet. I actually am surprised that there's not been like psychologists coming out of the woodwork to actually use him as a textbook example of narcissistic personality disorder.
Agreed. We actually did that. I pulled out the DSM-5, and we went down the 9 categories. And if you answer yes to any, yes to like 5 of them, it's pretty much secured, and it's yes to all 9. In the, as far as narcissistic personality disorder, the traits that go along with that, and yes, plot hole. You are correct. Projection. It's a massive amount of projection, and the reason I wanted to get your take on it, just kind of like when you were going through this one, is maybe it's just me. Maybe it was just me. Maybe I finally had my kind of reaction to this. Whereas we're listening to Darth, maybe it was the tone of his laughter or how forced it was, because that was fake. I think it's safe to say that laughter is just that's canned, you know?
Yes, it's this borderline maniacal. Looks like he sounds like Joaquin Phoenix on the bus in Joker, you know?
Excellent point. And I did actually queue it up so that we could take it. So if we dive in and take a look at it, but what he's
Tom Rabbit.
I love that intro. I'm so glad he did that for you. So, but he dives in, and I love this the setup you have here with like the MST3K stuff going on. But let me turn this down a little bit so it's not so loud, because it's loud. And it's just that over and over, and of course, because of him bitching about not having if they wouldn't dare meet him on an even platform or even playing field, when he himself won't go on even playing fields. He hides in his little channels and everything. And so, yeah, just like Plothole said, it's straight projection. And since this was par for the course for you, this is just standard. And I'm quite certain, correct me if I'm wrong, there's probably a lot of Darth that hasn't made it to your channel yet.
That's correct. Yeah, a lot of it is actually possibly not even kosher for YouTube.
Wow.
For example, 2-3 days ago, he did another episode of what he calls "What Is That," which is him just putting up various videos and pictures, mostly of people in the community who are transgender, and he does his whole morning zoo game show like music and talk show host routine, and says, "What is that?" And then the idea is that, the correct answer is it's a man, right? And then they do an analysis about how they're not passing, etc., and make fun of their looks, and they all laugh, sneer, and snicker. And what's funny is that at this time, one of the people that he had on What Is That was someone just sent him a link to, but he didn't realize that this person is actually in Discord.
Wow.
And he actually talked to them the day before. I have a recording of it, and they're not an atheist. They're a theist, potentially even a Christian. So he's now playing What Is That with people that are perhaps, if not Christians, they are theists or sympathetic to Christianity. And how is someone like that going to feel after you play What Is That with their picture and videos, and you're doing a deep dive on how they look like a man or something like that, right? And if your professed goal is to save people from the fire, then you're doing a really bad job.
You look at that, you look at something like that, and we've all heard Darth espouse his nonsense. How educated he is, how much he's read, and all this various crap. I always find it funny whenever he links like the books he's read stuff, and he tells people. I go and look them up to see what they're about, and they're always like these they're like these free to 99-cent little pamphlets that get uploaded to Amazon Prime, and then he just downloads them from there. like okay, it's like whatever, but. Given the current climate we're in with trans rights and trans recognition and the fight that's currently going on and the fact that it's become mainstream knowledge of what individuals who are trans go through and what they have gone through in the past and the deaths, the suicide, the horrors that essentially they have lived through in the past. Given this, Darth would have awareness of this, and psychologically, especially to another theist, calling them out and doing something like this with them, knowing how deeply it could hurt them and how far it could push them in that emotional state. I mean, I think you see where I'm getting at. The guy is...
Yeah, he's a jerk. He's just a flat out jerk. I mean, and it's like I don't see how you reconcile that with like, oh, this is Christian behavior. And I'll tell you what, after I saw that, I went in there on my main account and I said, I can't believe that all you Christians just literally sat here and just laughed or said nothing, and none of you did anything, right? None of you did anything. And what I got in return was something. One person said, well, we don't have any power to say anything, so we don't, and you're the one that actually is making him famous, so it's your fault, so you should be doing something. Well, I think I do something, right? Highlighting this type of behavior is
absolutely, yeah, bringing awareness to it, definitely.
Another person said, you can't say anything to us about how we should be Christians because you're not a Christian. That's dumb. Another person was something like, well, these are real responses. I have a recording of this. I don't even know if I want to like put it up, but another person actually said, well, Joel Osteen does things way worse. So, and I said, what? I said, that's the fallacy of relative privation, which just basically says that X is not worthy of us doing anything. X is not worthy of action because Y is worse, right? And it's just stupid responses, all dumb.
Yeah, and given his knowledge, that's what I think that was kind of what hit me is that you take information like that's new information to me that he was doing, especially to another theist. I had heard recordings of him playing that twisted game with his little sycophants and them all having a good hearty chuckle about it. And it always bothered me, like if a person who was dealing with these, it could drive them to that. But most likely the odds are that a person who's trans is not going to find themselves in that room, not on the regular. But the fact that this is a Christian and Christians, kind of like, well, why, if they're on Discord, they're going to wind up encountering him. And then he does this to that one. If he's read this stuff and he has the knowledge that he claims that he has, this is, I'm as an atheist, I use the term that it's evil because it's either ignorant. It's either just utter absolute ignorance of the psychology of this, or he's straight doing it because he doesn't care if people like this kill themselves. If he contributes to the statistical probability that trans people will kill themselves because of intolerance.
Well, yeah, he celebrates intolerance, but he also has some kind of weird, I want to call it a fetish for punishment. He has a fetish for punishment. It's probably why he loves Christianity so much, right? He loves to see people get punished, right? To the point where he talks about himself watching these police body cam videos all the time, and the way he talks about it, it's almost like an arousal, like almost a sexual arousal from people getting shot, right? He loves to watch bad guys getting shot. Now, the bad guys getting shot is one thing, but it's not so that it's the point where, like, okay, the guy never had a gun. The guy says, "Don't reach into you to don't move your hands." He moves his hand to get his wallet. He gets shot. Darth loves that, right? He's like, well, and what he loves is the fact that, you know what? I told you not to move your hand, and you move your hand, and now you're room temperature, as he says, and he loves it. He loves it. Right now, any normal person be like, wow, I told him not to do that because I was concerned that he might have a gun or something. Turns out this person is, like, mentally ill. This person is has some sort of mental deficiency, and what he was reaching for is actually his wallet. And in hindsight, I'm regretful, but Darth doesn't feel that. Darth feels like, yeah, well, I told him, don't move your hand, and you moved your hand, and guess what happened? When you don't listen to me, you get fucked. And he loves that. And that's how he moderates. That's how he runs the rooms. That's how he interacts with people, right? I told you not to overtalk me, right?
Yeah.
You overtalk me? Oh, well, guess what time it is now? It's time to get fucked, right? He loves it. He loves punishing people. It's probably why he loves Christianity so much.
Damn. So concerning this, I see absolutely the utility of putting this out there. You got to be aware of the dangers so that you can avoid the dangers, and I absolutely get that. But I feel compelled just from that lesson. Maybe it was just this one video. Maybe there was just something that was just in it. Maybe it caught me at the wrong moment. I will posit that first. I'll say maybe that particular, maybe you got a video that just caught me at the wrong moment, and I wanted to, just I just was like, ugh. It was like, oh, what the, and I was just like, what the fuck? So
no, I mean, you're right. This video is exemplary in some regards. It's like, I mean, like I said, it's 4 minutes stretched out into 30, right?
Yeah.
And there's never really any kind of, like, Darth all the time when he's dealing with this. It's like he likes to point out it's not a substantive critique, but he does that too, where it's just like a lot of the critique is just laughter. It's imitation of what someone said in a funny, like, / mentally challenged voice. There's usually not any substance with there. I mean, but Vi in the video references. She says, "I saw the recording." She says, "I saw the recording. I see what you guys say, right? When in the Discord server, I hear what Darth tells you to say, right?" And that's referencing another video that I did, and that video is in the description of the video we're talking about. It's in the end card. But in that video, yeah, that's exactly what's happening, right? They talk about, they mock them endlessly. Their appearance is mocked endlessly.
Oh yeah, what he says about Eric, what they call the Eric, he's got his nicknames for people, Eric Perm Boy.
Yeah, because mocking is very important. Mocking is
Right.
very important, right? And it's very powerful as a narrative, right? Laughter, when you're just when it says, "Hey, Darth, so and so said this," and he just laughs, right? That's Darth signaling a narrative. It's like, this is what you're supposed to think about that. Doesn't even matter if he tells them why it's stupid, but his laughter and, like, oh, his knee slapping is like, wow, okay, I shouldn't even, like, take this seriously. He doesn't even have to try and debunk it. Maybe he can't, but yeah, just constant jabs at Vi and Eric, just calling them idiots. There's a lot of time spent on, like, their sexual inclinations or activities, or how they're bi or this or that, or, like, are they trans or not, or just, like, tons of just garbage, and
yeah, I've heard a couple of times, and I know you've heard where either Darth or his sycophants will will comment on V's hair. It's V or Vi? Vi Bianca? Vi Bianca. Vi, right?
Yeah, I'm not really sure, but
anyway, they'll comment on her hair that it looks like she has that little boy haircut.
He calls a Vi puppy dog LeBlanca or something like that.
So, some crap like that.
I don't know what he calls it. But the point is that I am glad that Vi saw that video. The reason I'm glad that Vi saw that video is because when you're doing a show like Vi and Eric are doing, when you're doing a show, you're in front of everyone and you're basically assuming good faith, and you're trying to carry out the conversation as such, right? And when you look, if it were me and I knew that as soon as the call is over and Jay Robin and Tonlock and Darth are all laughing and snickering and jeering and just calling you a dumbass and like making fun of the fact that you're bisexual, whatever stupid thing, it's just like, if you ask me, like, if I would want to know about that, yeah, I would want to know about that, and I would probably not want to talk to people like that, right? Under this guise of like, oh, well, like, I just want to ask you what's ultimate or some bullshit like Jay Robin does. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, I would want to know. And so if Vi doesn't care, if Eric don't care, and they want to just continue talking to those people, that's fine. But I would suspect, if they're anything like me, that if they knew about that, they wouldn't want to talk to people like that.
Agreed. So it comes down to it. I mean, I would say it comes down to it to ask kind of the difficult, like the hard question, and it goes to the I would say the nature of platform, or at least in some way platforming someone like Darth. There is a utility to it. There is knowing where the dangers are, and knowing something like this is what is out there. There's bears over there. Don't go where the bears are. But like I said, the analogy, what I mentioned before, that watching this particular one was like watching that televised interview with Shelley Duvall. Like putting the mentally ill up on stage so that no one will take them seriously. The blathering, just like platforming flat earthers, putting them up on stage just so we can laugh at them. Now, laughing at bad arguments, that's one thing. Defeating bad arguments is another. Doing like that. But when it's demonstrable that there is something wrong, that the engine's misfiring, the lights aren't on, that this is a person that should probably be on heavy medication and behavioral therapy, cognitive therapy. I felt that there was a lot that maybe it was just this video, but it felt like that line got crossed. I'm curious. That was for me. It's totally subjective. I'm curious. Is there that line for you?
And in this instance, Darth is the Shelley Duvall.
Yes.
I don't think that I don't think of Darth like that. I think he's just I think Darth is a smart guy, actually. I think that he has these issues, right? And is he in the same category? No, I don't think so. But will he ever change? I think it's too late for that. When you're as old as Darth is, you're pretty much going to be set in your ways. And when you add on to that NPD, he's not going to change. There's no changing him. He's going to be the way he is, and probably worse as time goes on. That's it. Should we just not ever platform him? I mean, I wouldn't platform him, I don't think. I mean, I don't know, maybe I would sometimes, but like personally, like on a server, I don't know. But I don't really see. I don't know. It's a good question. Is he like beyond the pale? No, I don't think so. He's definitely a complete jerk, but he's not like mentally ill in that respect.
See that? Yeah, that's where I was. I was very much willing to accept that most likely that my reaction to this was subjective, and that this one just hit me in a particular way. Because most of them I laughed at. I'm like that. In fact, I cited clips from your stuff on numerous occasions. They look at him here. I was like, if I'm going to claim he does something, if I'm going to claim he'll be transphobic, you guarantee I'm going to go to Tom Rabbit's channel to find the evidence that he was transphobic or something of that nature. It's just that this.
Oh yeah, I mean, I mean, I could have made a transphobic supercut, but I just think it's really that kind of thing. I might refrain from doing. At least I'd have to think about it. I mean, there's plenty of material out there, and I've thought about it, but it's like, why? It's so over the top. Like, and who wouldn't even need if you're talking to somebody and you need like evidence that they're like demanding evidence of like Darth Dawkins being transphobic. It's like, at that point, it's what is the evidence even going to do? That person's like either hasn't been paying attention, or they're just so biased or already on Team Darth that it's just not going to matter, right? I mean, the things that he said are just blatantly transphobic, right?
Yeah.
Unless you want to like do the Darth type defense, which is he's going to say something like, no, I'm not afraid of trans people, right? But it's not what transphobic means in this context, right?
So, from your position, and given the hundreds of hours, probably thousands of hours that you have recorded of him, and we can say that he is a well-read individual. He's intelligent about at least his own argumentation. He understands the ins and outs of Antillism, and he's read those books. And so he's got his niche that he fills. And his behavior is so extraordinarily over the top that we can't really draw the line to like this shit is pathological, because when we say that when you were bringing up the example, like him getting off on like the stuff that he was watching, like, people getting shot in body cam videos that's what struck me in this particular one, was because I realized that it was really only his commentary. I almost got the feeling like he was watching this thing himself alone and just laughing, like you said, like Arthur Fleck, on the bus, just like to himself, getting off on himself. That's that narcissism that we've identified. His little cronies provide the supply, but it's so over the top, it's so ridiculous that he really is no more than a clown. And then for that, we can keep putting him up there. We can't keep like putting the spotlight on him and say, dance for us, clown, because it has not reached, for lack of a better term, it has not reached Shelley Duvall territory.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it has. I mean, Darth is not really taken seriously by people in general, right? Darth is kind of like a novelty act, and then the precept thing, and like the how do you know that thing, and then the like you ask about some. It's just no one's really taking it seriously.
He's a sideshow at the carnival.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally,
the amazing precept.
His personality and psychology at this point are far more interesting than like anything like he might have to offer with respect to a theological debate.
I would have to agree on that one. Going by my background and my training in psychology, in forensic psychology in particular, with my my studies in abnormal psychology, individuals like this, they must have that narcissistic supply. And if that starts getting pulled away from them, then individuals like this, I mean, I'm not saying that this is what Darth would do, but when you start pulling that away from them, when they stop getting what they need, then they react like addicts, and they will do anything to get it back. And that can, even at Darth's age, even at Darth's advanced age or whatever, it goes, that people like that can become dangerous. So there's not just the utility of warning people that this is like, hey, look, there's this idiot over here, there's this clown. If you just don't engage with them, just be aware. There's the utility of that. There's also the utility of that you could essentially be keeping him from going so off the rails that he does something like real world bad in that respect. And I think that
maybe. I suppose it's possible. But yeah, you hit it right on the head. He's gonna get his supply one way or another, period. Right? If he's not on Discord and he hasn't been on Discord for a few days, you can rest assured he is getting his supply somewhere else, on some other platform or medium or in real life. Now, Darth, I think I was actually curious myself, and I wasn't sure if he realized whether or not he was a narcissist. Because when you think about it, how could he really actually think that he's not a narcissist, right? And then he actually answered that question recently because someone accused him of it or something, or implied it at least. And he said, I want you to like back that up. I want you to prove that. And his defense was like, that doesn't show that I'm in love with myself. Like, so he was thinking of like the Greek mythology narcissist.
Oh, Narcissus.
Like, so the guy who sees his own reflection in the water and he's just like, oh my God, you are so handsome. And he showed that he actually has no idea what anyone's talking about when they tell him he's a narcissist, right? He's picked up this term that is common in discussions about like a more clinical sense of narcissism, flying monkeys. And he was referring it to there was a video where people were clapping in the background in the studio when Matt was reading his letter, and he made some statement. They clapped in agreement, and he called those people flying monkeys, right? Those aren't flying monkeys. Those are just people in the studio that agree with the point that was that the flying monkey's job is to give the narcissist supply. Yeah. They aid and facilitate and bring narcissistic supply to the narcissist. So example of that is just like, how many times does this happen where someone is saying, just scanning roles in the chat, he's like, oh, I see so-and-so's an atheist. Do you want to talk to Darth about this? That's the perfect example of you being a flying monkey.
Or you've just Jay Robin calling into a live show so that they can feed that shit.
Right. So they can come back with the intel and like, yeah, something like that. People creating stages for Darth to enter so we can just get this like sushi restaurant conveyor belt of narcissistic supply that he can just like, grab as it comes off the conveyor. I mean, these people just are facilitators for narcissistic supply, right?
That was a terrific video, by the way. The super cut of Darth getting trolled on the stage. That was a really good one.
That's one of my favorites. Yeah, that's great.
I mean,
I think that's why he hasn't been doing stages, because he doesn't want those things to be made.
It was just the I'm trying to imagine him getting up there. Finally, I'm on the stage. I'm on the soapbox on the corner. Everybody can come and see me. And then it comes up, how do you know God doesn't exist? Because he made you. So just that was brilliant. I hope we get more of that. Yeah, but unfortunately, the stage discoveries are coming down off of Discord, which sucks.
Yeah, too bad.
Yeah. So this has been interesting. I definitely wanted to get your take, and because I think it was important to address. If I was the only one that thought about this, if I felt this way, there might have been somebody else who did. And to get the context on that number one, this is not the worst that Darth has ever been. Two, this is absolutely evidence of what he engages in to get the supply that he needs to essentially, I guess I would say, get through his day. That this is what, the day is all centered around getting what I need to validate myself, to, everybody validate me, because for whatever reason. And then you will have that visceral. If you're Tom Rabbit makes amazing content, and I know every single person in this live chat has gone to your channel and watched your stuff. And occasionally there's going to be that one that hits you right in the gut, because it finally happened to me when I was like, son of a, it was visceral. I wanted to get in my car. I wanted to go to the airport, buy a plane ticket, and go where which is why I thought it best to speak to you on this. Now, the big question, one last question I have for you regarding Darth and the future of your channel and everything. Is there a point? Well, I would say it's a two-part question. Is there a point when it just becomes old? It's just, that there's no point in this. Do you see that possibly happening? And do you have plans if that occurs?
I mean, look, some of this stuff is very old, right? I mean, nobody wants to listen to him say, like, you can't be neutral, and then that goes on for 20 minutes, or like, what's another one that gets really boring? Like, I mean, like, a lot of it is just scripted responses to various arguments or objections, or, it's old. So I try to focus on the things that are a little more novel, right? Like, people that he hasn't talked to before about, and they raise some objection. Those are the best ones. No one wants to hear him just like run the same script against someone else, about like, God does not exist because, and then just like, by the way, I got something to say about that, because when they say that question is misunderstood probably 95% of the time or more. Right. And that's by design. Now, what other explanation could there be to where, look, every time I ask this question, it's misunderstood almost every time. Now, any normal person, if they were like being a good faith actor, they would reword the question to where it was more in line with the people that you're talking to, right? So the real question that he's asking is not the way people understand it to me, and is something like, hey, why don't you give me some reasons why you don't believe in God, or what's some support, what's with you, like what made you believe that? But the question Darth is actually asking is, tell me why it's impossible for any God to exist, right? And first of all, not a lot of people have that position, which is why they don't want to ask it that way, is because then they can't say, well, that doesn't follow. Well, you haven't seen evidence for God. Oh, well, that doesn't follow. You're a dumbass, right? Yeah, why you dumbass? Why are you hitting yourself, right? Why are you hitting yourself, bro? They want to do that, right? They don't want to have a question where they're like, well, yeah, I don't really think that it's impossible for God to exist and have some sort of semblance of a constructive conversation from the get-go. No, they don't want that. They don't want that. But yeah, so what to do? Well, you got to try and diversify, right?
Right.
And actually, I mean, I know we were talking about like what are the popular videos. Some of the most popular videos are videos of me talking to people like Darth, J. Robin, whoever, Otangelo. I had a great discussion with Otangelo yesterday that probably would have been really interesting, but I just tried some new recording software, and I didn't get the audio of it, so I can't do that.
Bummer.
But you gotta also remember that when I do go into a lot of these rooms and try to have these discussions, for example, I tried to go into a room to just lay out the action. When I was just talking about the question, I went into a room. The only thing I said was, hey, that's not actually what they're asking. And what they're actually asking, and boom, Tom Lock muted me. Right. So I'm not able to actually like just move about the cabin freely and just sort of enter these discussions whenever I want. Yeah. There's a lot of people that don't like me because of the Darth thing. There's a lot of people that don't like me because of other reasons. There's a lot of interpersonal, dramas here and there. So it's not easy for me to just like, oh, hey, you want to like talk? Let's talk about this. It's hard. It's hard to do. It's really hard. So I pick those up when I can, and I supplement, the content where I can, So moving forward, that's what I'll do.
Cool. Yeah, play day by day. Got a super chat in from John Rapp. Thank you so much for 5, looks like Australian dollars. Says, I'd be happy to answer your question, but first, answer me this. In your atheist worldview, who is the ultimate non-dependent guest on the channel today?
See, the plot hole also super chat. Let me read this one. Why are you not as good as Darth? Wait, what? Plot hole. The plot hole. By the way, if you want to do another one of these sometimes, like the plot hole once reached out to me to talk about Darth, and there were, at the time I just really didn't know if I wanted to like do sort of the Darth circuit. You know what I mean?
I get that.
But I mean, if you wanted to invite him in here in the next time, or I'm perfectly fine with that. I probably just want to be careful about how much of this stuff that I do, because like, for example, when Darth says like, oh, Tom, he never really debated me. Like, first of all, and like, I don't even know if I have to explain that. It's like debating Darth in a place where he has mods is just insanity, right?
Yeah.
But if you're like going into rooms where Darth is, and you're just like, so let's talk now, you're just gonna be labeled a stalker, right? I mean, like, and he doesn't really call me a stalker in the same way that he calls like Jack and them a stalker. That's because I just kind of like stay away from him. I've talked to him, and it was pretty much I'm not going to be talking to him again in that same capacity, because I'm labeled a troll or whatever, and that's that. So
I'm a slanderer and defamer myself. So that's for the video that I put out about him, and that was examining his presuppositionalism, and then of course the things that because I wanted to make sure the things I was talking about were well researched, so I had to do a really deep dive into him, and it took about 2 months of work to really dive into it. And so I never doxed him. The intention never was to, because frankly there are dangerous people out there that want his information, that are not willing to do the work that I put in. And so I got the information that I got, and I looked into it and went as deep as I could. And the other conclusions that I drew. Now, I never doxed him, but there are things I could bring up that kind of inform his behavior, inform his worldview, inform his tactics. And I wanted to bring these up. This is the nature of the man. And he, of course, I'm a slanderer, I'm a defamer, lies, stuff like this. And I was like, feel free, take me to court. I've got my evidence. I got my attorney. Let's go. Sue me. Go for it. I'll meet you right there. Let's do it. Of course, he won't do that. But yeah. So because every time I walk, I'm not you, but every time I walk in the room, I get auto muted. If I pop into his room, or if he pops into my room that I'm in, I get auto muted. So
right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of people that have done some snooping on him and stuff, and I basically try to stay away from like the personal information stuff, and I would actually encourage other people to. I know like there's a video of me talking to Sydney Winston, and like Sydney Winston does a lot of that type of stuff, and
yeah,
and I don't doubt that some of the information is correct, but in the video, I really some of it's without even looking into it, some of it doesn't even pass the smell test, and I was pointing that out to Sydney. I was like, oh, this in particular sounds like bullshit. I mean, like, why would you even think that, right? That's obviously not true. So, but I tend to just like try to avoid it altogether, right? I mean, even in my comments, there are certain proper nouns that are that I have a filter for, and people will get around it and I'm not going to sit there and just play spy versus spy and
Police every
try
single
to
one.
I mean, look, yeah, there's going to be some people that get through or whatever, but I would tend to discourage it because honestly, there's plenty of stuff. There's plenty of stuff to criticize Darth for without getting into that other stuff.
Agreed. Well, I got another $2 Australian dollars from John Rapp. Thank you so much for the super chat. Says, hey, Tom Rabbit. Awesome.
That's the number one comment. Is hey, Tom Rabbit.
And $5 freedom dollars from Wrote It No Last Name says the surefire way DD is losing the argument. He defaults to ad hom attacks every single time.
Yeah.
He will jump into it. So yeah, that was. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I appreciate you kind of jumping on here, and yeah, I would love to. If you want to jump on with Plot Hole sometime, we can arrange that whenever you're free. And I wanted to get your take on this, and just speak to the guy behind the curtain as to because you're the guy who deals with the most. You're on the front line as far as like the content that we take in, and of course, I personally would love to see more interactions with you. Your handling of Darth in that one debate, and I think that was in a room where he couldn't mute you, wasn't it?
He might have technically been able to, but that was probably like the first time we really were talking. So if he would have muted me there, it would have been politically like a really bad move for him.
The optics would have looked really bad.
Yeah, it would have been really bad optics.
So yeah, I'd love to see more of that. You going in and engaging with people. I always look forward to those, and of course, that's pretty much it. So yeah, from the horse's mouth, everybody. Tom Rabbit himself. Anything else before?
No, I just I mean, I'm sure there's so much cross YouTube channel overlap. There's probably a lot of your viewers probably watch a lot of my stuff, but continue to do so. Subscribe to my channel, and if you could become a patron, because patrons are my favorite people, and even $1, I greatly appreciate. I mean, if I can get enough patrons, I'm perfectly willing to, and I would look forward to doing things like, hey, I want this speaker, so I'll just pay them. So I want to do stuff like that, but not quite there yet, but hopefully one day.
Awesome. Yeah. Build up that platform. Fantastic. So yes, if anybody in the live chat who is not subscribed to Tom Rabbit, go to Tom Rabbit's channel. You can see his name right there. It's Tom RABBITTT. And you can get all of the fun Darth content and other content of silly argumentation and other goofiness that he records for us for our entertainment. Definitely check out his Patreon. I know that those links are in the descriptions of your videos. I will also grab those and I'll put them in the description of this video as well. So thank you so much, Tom. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know you're busy over there. And hopefully we can do this again soon.
Great. Thank you for having me. Have a great one, everyone.
It was a pleasure. Take care, bud.